and welcome back to the Forgive Yourself podcast. I'm your host, Brenda Reese. Today's conversation is a tender one and an important one. We're talking about pregnancy loss and something that so many women experience, and yet so many feel they have to carry quietly, often with guilt, confusion, and a lot of what ifs. My guest today is Shruti Trivedi, a pregnancy loss and transformation coach who brings not only her professional work, but her own lived experience into this space. She creates a gentle, real environment where women don't have to pretend they're just over it and can begin to build a kinder, more honest relationship with themselves as they learn to live with their loss. Shruti also supports those who want to show up for someone they love after loss, which I think is fabulous, but they aren't quite sure how. This is a conversation about grief, but also about compassion, identity, and what it means to slowly come back to yourself. Shruti, I'm really honored to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Brenda, for the kind words. I feel truly blessed to be here recording with you today.
Oh, I am so happy you're here because this is something that is super important to talk about, and we've had this in our own family. And having you, someone out there that shows the compassion and care and guidance for people walking through a pregnancy loss is important. And if you wouldn't mind, I'd love to have you share a little bit about your own pregnancy loss story and how it kind of got you into the work you do today.
Absolutely. So I'd like to start with I'm blessed with three beautiful children. I have two girls who are 15 and 11, and I have a son who is 7 year old as of today. However, I've also had three losses.
Mm.
And I think for me, that chapter of my life has been the toughest in my life. Um, Never experienced that kind of pain ever.
Mm.
And so after I had my first daughter, I was expecting again back in 2011. And my daughter was under 2 years old, and this was not planned. So you were a bit nervous. But at the same time, motherhood is something I've always embraced. I've loved being a mother with my first
Mm.
child as well. I was like, uh, so it was the best feeling in the world to become a mother.
Yeah.
So with the second one, I I was like, yes, yeah, nervous, but yes, my daughter is going to have a sibling. Um, at about 9 weeks, um, it was December 31st, 2011. We were
Mm.
actually planning to go to Richmond, Virginia, where our friends had planned a New Year's party. And we had decided that we are going to announce our pregnancy that evening. So it was a very special moment. That morning, I had my regular ultrasound, and it just took a little longer. And we didn't really understand what was going on. We thought it was just the delay. The radiologist came up to it and said that we are unable to find a heartbeat. So initially, we just dismissed it like, okay, there must be some glitch with the system,
And
and you don't want to give more importance at that time. Okay, maybe something is wrong with your machine. You want to
yeah.
immediately think that. And so we didn't pay up much attention, and they did a few more scans from their side to confirm. And they said, they didn't share much, and they said, why don't you go to your OBGYN's office? We want them to talk to you. Again, I couldn't really understand much. And that's where things got a little serious. Okay, they're sending me somewhere. Something is off.
Yeah.
A slight uncomfortable feeling started creeping up. Uh, as I went there, they took me to a separate room, and my OBGYN said that, Shruti, we see the baby's growth only up to 6 weeks. The baby hasn't grown. And usually the heartbeat develops in 6 to 7 weeks max. You're 9 weeks now, and there is no heartbeat.
Mm.
So you will have to terminate the pregnancy. At that time, I couldn't really even fathom what was going on. And I started rambling. You know what, doctor? I have a party to go to this evening. I have to go pack my bags. I have to. And she had to shake me up and say,
Yeah.
Shruti, there is no heartbeat, and you have to terminate the pregnancy today. Um, she gave me the pills to go back home. I, as I came back home, there were suitcases and bags lying on the bed. I didn't know what to do. Um, in the evening, I took the pill. I went into labor and I passed a red blob in the toilet. And the I didn't know what to do at that time. And the worst part was also on my almost 2-year old daughter watching her mom in pain and screaming while my husband was holding her to just be there for me and at the same time just hold her tight.
Right.
And my
Mm.
daughter not understanding that she was promised a cake and candies that evening and
Oh, yeah.
uh, what is happening, right? Why is mama crying? My hands were shivering while flushing. I didn't even get to hold. And that's how it ended for me. And then the following day, I didn't know what to do. I, the society also tells you move on. I was 27 at that time. So it's okay. The child was never meant to be. Time will heal. You get all those phrases and then
Yeah.
accept that as a reality like, okay, this is what it was supposed to be. I was blessed again to have my middle daughter in a couple of years. And that pregnancy, I remember, was very tough. I recall at 7 weeks when the doctor touched my belly with the Doppler and I heard a heartbeat, I broke down because I'm like, my baby's alive. My baby has my baby's heart is beating because that was a milestone for me crossing 9 weeks. And it was again a very tough pregnancy because I used to have some flashes like until she was born, I used to be scared whether her heartbeat will stop at any time. Um, and after she was born, she's been a blessing. A few
Mm.
years later, back in 2017, I was expecting identical twin boys. And they were, I would say, they were troublemakers since day one. Because in the first ultrasound appointment, the doctor couldn't see the two. They need to have their own amniotic sacs, means they need to be diamniotic, and the doctor could see only one sac for both the babies. So they were concerned that that could result in conjoined twins, which is a huge complication.
Oh,
The next
yeah.
appointment, okay, they have their own sacs. So, had complications at 7 week, about 7 to 8 weeks. There was one baby A was not peeing, and so they
Yeah.
said, oh, that could be a luto, which is the lower urinary tract obstruction, where it could be really fatal if the
Mm.
urinary bladder is not emptied. But the following appointment, oh, baby A peed. So it was like we were facing obstacles, but we were overcoming that. At 18 weeks, they were diagnosed with TTTS, which is
Mm.
specific to identical twins called twin to twin transfusion syndrome.
Oh,
That one baby gets more nutrition than the other. So I was sent to Johns Hopkins Hospital where they performed a laser surgery inside my belly to balance so they had to laser out the baby. Some of I don't know how to explain in technical terms, but they had to laser out so to balance the nutrition for the babies.
okay.
Surgery was successful. There was a slight membrane tear, but the doctor was like, "There's a 0.1% chance of some complication, but it should be fine." And I unfortunately fell in that 1%,
Mm.
0.1% chance. My water broke at 19 weeks.
Oh,
And yet again, the radiologist doing the ultrasound mentioned you have to terminate the pregnancy because it's a risk to your life. Because he told me that you can die. At that time, I fought with the radiologist, like, what are the chances I cannot terminate the pregnancy? And he said there is like a 0.0000001% chance that they might survive, but there is a high risk for you and I wouldn't want you to take that risk. And I said, I'm willing to take that risk. I came back home on full bed rest and I was making progress. I crossed 20 weeks. I crossed 21 weeks. I crossed 22 weeks, 30 weeks. Um, it was my eldest daughter's 7th birthday. And she was really feeling sad for me. Like, Mama, you're on bed. And you know what? I want to decorate this room for you. And I want to cut the cake in your room here. So she was prepping in the morning, very excited to do all of that. That afternoon, I developed a fever. I went into labor and I delivered my boys. They lived for about 2 hours.
Okay.
And the doctor said that their heart beats for about 2 hours. That was the most peaceful night for me. I got to hold them on my chest all
Oh.
night. However, the most heartbreaking because I could hear the cries from other rooms, the delivery rooms, where or somebody walking with their babies, while my room was quiet. After I came back home, when discharging, the doctor, the nurse, they actually gave me a huge packet of grief resources and support. And I'd be honest, I came back home and trashed it. And I said, I have my family. I've had my mom come here. My mother was here to support me. I said, I don't need any grief group or any support or therapy. I'll be fine. I even joined back within a week because I couldn't stay on that bed with no babies inside of me. One other thing within that week that happened that I had really didn't even know was I had started lactating. And like producing milk for my was always a happy sign. Like, okay, I can breastfeed my babies. I've always enjoyed that. And this time it felt like a punishment, like a why? So my body was still doing what it's supposed to do. And there were times where I thought maybe I'll wake up from this nightmare and I'll find everything is fine. My boys are inside of me.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen. I had to, on the contrary, I had to put put a put a tight chest band to stop the milk so that I don't produce anymore. And that was physically and emotionally very painful. And after joining backward, I thought, okay, I'll be like just moving on. I'll, s- you know, people offering their condolences and time will heal. Don't worry. We're just never meant to be those kinds of, again, the same phrases or motivational videos or such kinds of things, which I thought at that time I was like, yeah, I'm being maybe hyper by reacting. The following year, I had my son, and then it was a nice way of saying um, and convincing myself like two boys are back as one life. It's the most beautiful sentence. So I started believing in that, and I was like, yes, this is it. My boys are back. However, the following next almost 5 years, every time around the same dates, which actually happened around, it started with the Memorial Day weekend and then I delivered towards the end of June.
Okay.
So every time around the same dates, I would get panic attacks. I would start crying out of nowhere. Even in office meetings, I would go to a meeting when I'm presenting to this specific meeting I recall is I'm in a conference room hosting and I'm thinking like, I need to throw up. And I'm like, what is it? I've not eaten anything out of inappropriate or anything out of the ordinary. And then I rush to the bathroom and I just cry. And I'm like, what? What is happening to me? And those were the signs I started ignoring. And I'm like, Shruti, what's wrong with you? Wow, what's happening to you? And I'm not understanding what's happening.
Yeah.
And finally, 5 years after is where my company was offering complimentary therapy sessions. I said, I don't know what I'm going to tell the therapist. It's been so long. I have 3 kids, I have a career, I have a happy family, I have everything. And
Yeah.
what do I tell them? Like, oh, I still have a problem. I mean, what is the therapist going to say? Like,
Mm,
you just want to create problems, is what the therapist is going to say. On the contrary, my therapist was shocked that I never grieved well. I never
mm,
took any help. I just wanted to get busy so that I could not have any time to think. That's where my transformation began. This is the year 2022. Um, and if within a year I could experience that transformation where, okay, whatever my therapist said, whatever you're feeling is valid. And I needed that validation stamp from her at that time. Look, okay, what I'm feeling is not stupid, because I was calling myself, I mean, I'm giving you the milder word of stupid. I've used all the cuss words possible on myself, like
Yeah.
meanest ones. And I'm like, okay, so why did I speak to myself like that? And that's where I could realize how much I was holding in. And through the sessions, when I slowly started venting out, writing down, tearing down certain things physically, is where I was like, okay, this is where I want to be. And then the honoring piece of it as well. Like, how do I honor them so that I can move? So the best thing I learned is, instead of moving on, I can move forward with my babies. I don't have to leave them behind or forget it or delete their pictures and do all of that. I can move forward with them. That's what I learned through therapy. And as I was talking openly, then when I started talking openly, I realized how unspoken it is about, that people just don't talk about it. I
Mhm.
realized many of my near and dear ones have experienced loss. And I'm like, I know you from 15, 20 years. How come I don't know this? It's like, we don't talk about this, right? So it was like a casual, like, no, we don't talk. It's not a nice thing to talk.
mm.
And that's where it turned into a life mission. Like, okay, I'm going to talk. I'm going to normalize this conversation, and not just pregnancy lock, even about mental health and therapy, something a huge stigma around it. Like, we we don't talk about therapy as openly as we should.
So true. And first, I want to thank you for sharing such a, it's a beautiful and a little tragic story. And thank you for being so honest, because there's women out there that need to hear this, and men, the people who support, right? And who have gone through this the same kind of losses. It's so important. Thank you for being willing to share about that and your loss, your pain, but also how you've been able to find a place to move forward. Because,
Mhm.
not a lot of people have done that. In the forgiveness work, that I do, there's a lot of women carrying the pain from that. So now I'm glad I have someone to refer them to, because it's a deep, deep, deep experience and loss that I'm really glad that you got help for. And how we beat ourselves up, right? I loved how you talked about, now saying I'm stupid was the nice word, right? Because we are so mean to ourselves about how we should be handling things and how we don't need help, and I've got this. And I'm really glad that you learned that asking for help or getting that guidance is a strength, because now you can move forward with your boys.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
that's really important, because I would imagine in all of that, there's guilt, right? And the what if thoughts, and you talk about that. Um, so I'd like to, if you would, expand a little bit about that with women that you help and just in this experience with the guilt and the what ifs. How does this tend to show up for women after loss? Because I imagine that those voices are loud. Um, you know, what do women tend to make of these thoughts? What did you experience about those what ifs?
So the initial what if after any loss is like what if I had done something differently?
Yeah.
Maybe I would have not had a loss. So after my first loss, I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism. And there was a possibility, again, not guaranteed, but uh, that due to it, because it was not diagnosed, uh, is why I had the loss. So the what
Okay.
at that time was, what if I had done my annual physical earlier and I would have diagnosed it or I was on medication, then it would have not happened. So that what if really kind of was so strong within me. Like, what if I had done it? Then I would have that baby. And then the why me. The why me is another one that's along with the what ifs, right?
Oh, I can imagine.
Why? Other other people having babies. So my baby was due on July 28, 2012. So whenever I used to see any 2012 babies, or even for the longest time, like, oh, your child is born in 2012, I could imagine what my kid would be that
Mm.
age. My baby would be that age.
Yeah.
And that feeling is like, why? Why does this person get to have a baby in 2012 and why not I? What did I do wrong?
Right.
So those those what if and why me questions are, that you don't have an answer to that. You just only suffer with those questions. With my second loss, I remembered what just the day before my water broke, I was on like not on full bed rest at that time because I was supposed to be moving around after the surgery that I had at Johns Hopkins. So I cooked one of my favorite dishes, biryani.
Okay.
And uh, I think at that time, I don't know why I cooked. I just wanted some compliments because I was tired of just lying in bed. And I cooked
Yeah.
it. Then when my water broke, I was like, what if I had not cooked? And I'll
I
be honest, I did not cook biryani for the next couple of years until somebody
Oh,
actually asked me that I really like your biryani. Can you make it? Because for me, cooking that was like, why did I do it? What if I had not cooked that day? My motto wouldn't have.
yeah. So I imagine with this, if I can ask, because you talk there is the doubt, the guilt, the shit, all the anger, all the feelings that come along with grief because you're grieving and you don't really realize you're grieving, right? And so the what ifs, when you have this, well, what if I wouldn't have cooked that? Is that where you feel or women have these guilt and the shame feelings? So like you have the question like, oh my God, if I would only have done this, this wouldn't have happened. And then you have the guilt. Is that what how you would
In guilt, right? And that results in like heavy guilt. Like I remember, so the guilt for me in one of the sessions is what came up. I intentionally, we were doing a writing exercise. I intentionally took out a red marker and I wrote, I killed my babies. That's
oh,
what came from me in that
mhm.
therapy session. And I looked at it, I showed my therapist, and she was shocked too. Like, that came from within me. Like, I did this. And
Mhm.
from there to writing it, I did everything to protect my babies was my transformation. So the guilt carries because you know what your brain is communicating and it's working within. Like there are some subconscious thoughts that you don't even know. And it only maybe triggers the emotions where you're crying or breaking down because those are the physical emotions that you're experiencing. But sometimes that interaction, that internal conflict, you don't even know what your brain is telling you. And that guilt piece, how much you're body is like going through that guilt. Okay, I shouldn't have placed my hand in this way. I shouldn't have slept on this side. Everything is like that guilt. Like, okay,
Yeah.
I made this happen.
Yeah, and through the therapy is when you were able to process that and how and that's what you help women do today, correct? Was it helpful for you to have this guidance from someone who saw that note, "I killed my baby," because that's, that would be shocking to you even, right? This is how I've been feeling for all this time, and then to have someone there to help you process through that. Is that one of the reasons, like, "Oh, I can do this or help other women through this same thing." Is that
Absolutely. So it was right after doing the 1 year into therapy when I started speaking openly. And then when I got to know that there is such a gap, is what led me to this life mission now that, okay, I'm going to normalize this conversation. I'm going to speak up and I'm going to help other bereaved mothers so that they don't wait 11 plus years suffering. And I know there are many women probably still suffering, not talking about it.
Yes.
So I, that's the mission now that I'm on. Like, let's normalize. First, I think it's the normalizing of the conversation itself, where
Mhm.
we need to acknowledge, like, or even get that out. Like, okay, I experienced a loss, because people just dismiss that casually, and it's unfortunate. I always say this: grief is a the broader term where we have experienced grief. We are going to lose people in our lives, continue to lose people in our lives, and we all have our end dates at some point. However, within that, pregnancy loss is the niche where the baby not being considered as human
Mm,
is what is the worst part, and the so painful, because, oh, it's only 1 week old. It was only 1 week old, right? Or it was only 5 weeks. Or oh, the baby never had a heartbeat, so as it have done didn't exist. So people dismiss it. And even
Right.
women have, over time, I guess, maybe trying to think that that is what how it needs to be, but within they don't feel. Like, I know how much I was trying to pretend, like, okay, that's how it was
Mhm.
supposed to be, or I should
mm.
not think too much about it. But it was not sitting well inside. I was still feeling I was holding up so much. And that's what came out of me during therapy. But that's, I think the first step is to acknowledge that they were humans. And they, so whatever the mother feels, whatever the father feels, fathers
Yeah.
are just dismissed even more, I would say, more than the
Mhm.
mother. The fathers are put so much pressure as men as well, that you are not supposed to cry. I remembered when my babies were taken away from the hospital, my husband shed tears and he turned away from me because he didn't wanted me to see him cry. That's the only time I saw him cry. I never ever saw him cry because he had so much pressure that he cannot cry in front of me, and he
Well,
has to be even tougher. So, and people don't even I've not heard a father even say this. Like, now that I'm sharing, there are some men who say, okay, my wife experienced a loss. You know,
right.
they also, it's not like
Yes.
we experienced a loss. My wife experienced a loss. Like, okay, you have also lost your child.
Well, yeah, and so let's talk about that for a minute, because I know I'm so grateful you do this, where you support people like that, husbands or partners or family members that love this person, that they also experience the loss, whether it's grandparents or siblings, or I mean, because it's part of your whole life. And so how about somebody who's listening that is supporting someone going through a loss? What are some ways that you help teach them, or how can they support them? Can you share some things? Because I know, like you experienced through what you shared a little bit ago, no one, and this is what I know in the grief work I do, is no one knows how to say the right thing in a way, right? We don't know what to say. And instead of saying, I don't know what to say, I am so sorry, we say, "Oh, it'll get better," or "It was their time," or, or the things that you mentioned. And that can be really hurtful because you are the one, going through the grief. And then you just mentioned also the husbands are experiencing the loss, but they don't think they are because they didn't physically feel it.
Yeah.
And so for those people that are supporting the woman or the person who is physically gone through the loss, how can the people that didn't go through that physical, but they're still going through the emotional, all of the loss, how can they support themselves? I imagine you do that, and the person that's gone through the physical loss.
I'll go through like, uh, I'll start off with the categories of people that I have created, and then I'll
Okay.
ask the question. So there are,
Great.
I've categorized into three categories of people.
Okay.
This one category of people who will send all these big motivational videos and essays of writing. Um, and then another category who would be throw these one liners like, time will heal, just move on, just
Mm.
carry on, be that rock solid mom, don't cry in front of kids, you're a brave mom. And then this third category of people is who go quiet, who don't want to say a word, who are like, don't want to hurt with even a word. And a bereaved mom doesn't need either of them. None. And what
Mm-mm.
does she need really at that point is a simple check in. People overthink it way too much. A simple check in, like you said, even saying as simple as, I don't know what to say. And I'm here for you.
Mhm.
Just thinking of you, just
Yeah.
checking in. If you want to talk, I'm here for you. I remember my sister used to sit in my room without saying a word.
Mm.
And I would be looking here and there at the walls, at the clock. She would sit for 1 or 2 hours and leave.
Yep.
That was one of the most peaceful connection I had. Like I didn't needed
Mhm.
a single word.
No.
But they were, and the three categories of people that I just mentioned, they are your nearest and dearest ones. So then they love you immensely, but they just don't know what to say.
No.
And they unfortunately say the wrong thing at the wrong time, which hurts the most. Because if it was a stranger, you can just say, just get out of here. But for these people, they love you so much. So it is painful that, why can't you just shut up right now? Your mind,
Yeah.
it says that, but you just cannot say it out loud. Or you just want, can you just leave? I don't want you around.
Yes, and this is something that it's not talked about. So I'm really glad that you are sharing about this, and I share about it too, that when you it is powerful to sit with someone in silence. A lot of people can't do it. They feel like they have to do something. But grief needs a witness, just a witness. And what your sister did is just, I mean, you just said it. It was the most peaceful, and it's really the most loving thing to do, is to sit with someone. That's all. That's all. So, yeah, thank you for sharing that, because I think that will be important for people to hear. And again, we don't know. So I'm really glad that you're helping to educate and to hold people and to tell people it's okay. It is okay to not know what to say. And it's okay to say, I don't know what to say. And a lot of times, because even hearing I'm sorry can be painful sometimes, right? And it's just, I'm thinking of you is the most beautiful thing to say. Just, I'm right here. I'm thinking of you, right?
Mm.
Is, I think, probably the best. Cause even that, cause when you're hurting like that, there's nothing anybody can say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There are no perfect words, and there are no right words that you can say, because and those times everything feels painful. So what is less painful maybe at that time is the one that says a one liner which you can look at, because there is really nothing to say. But at the same time, the ones that I described, the third category of people who just vanish because they're so scared,
Yeah.
Something also you don't want. You want somebody to care about you, like you exist. Like I've just lost
Yes.
babies. Why are you not calling me? You want somebody to reach out to you, but at this
Right.
you don't want them to just lecture you or advise you or just say like things like I know how I had been told, um, you have 3 kids, you lost three, so what's the big
Oh
deal?
my God.
Okay, just
Oh.
just let it go. Why are you already have three? And comparing grief is whole another thing. Like, oh,
Oh
this
yeah.
person had like 7 miscarriages and they don't even have kids. You at least have three. And I'm like, how does it lessen my pain?
It does not.
And I cannot say to anyone that I lost 3 babies, you only lost one. No, my pain is my pain. Your pain is your pain, and it deserves respect. And it is painful.
Mm.
I people are tend to compare grief in this way and pregnancy loss in this way, like counting numbers. It's not.
It's not numbers.
Yeah.
No.
So that's unfortunate, but yep, we definitely need that mindset changed.
Well, and I think this is an important thing to say is like, don't disappear.
Hmm.
You know, don't think you have to say, a lot of people disappear because they don't know what to say and they're afraid to say the wrong thing because they care. Right. And so it's like, you know what? Here's an idea. Just, I'm thinking of you. Even, I'm just thinking of you and I'm here. Or I don't know what to say. This is a big loss and I just don't know what to say. Right. But I'm here. It just letting the person know I'm here instead of disappearing is better than anything they could do, because that way you feel like I'm not alone because you already feel alone. You already
Exactly.
feel
Holding hands for me, even I feel like somebody just coming and holding my hands, not saying anything, or even just giving me a hug. And,
Mm,
for as long as I want to, if they feel that I'm not feeling good, they can release and let go. But
yeah,
those are like, but no words. I think
no
no
words.
words is so powerful. People
Mm,
really like underestimate the power of silence that time because it is peaceful even more than words, any words.
it is.
You just come, hold my hands, or give me a hug. That's it.
Yes.
It's the
Oh,
most powerful thing that anyone can do. And but it's the overthinking and people like no 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 I should say something, I should do something, or bringing like flowers. Even at that time I didn't needed any flowers too.
mm.
Oh, I love flowers, but not at that time.
Yes, food
But
and flowers.
yeah,
They bring food
yeah,
and flowers because they feel like they need to do something,
ex-
and I like how you're very specific. It's like, "No, just be there.
yeah.
Just be there."
I mean, I
It's like
understand the intention behind food that at least, your family is fed. So I
right.
understand that intention that at least I know my friends were bringing in food. So we
Yeah.
had thing like my family could focus on me. But uh, at that time, I couldn't understand all of that. I couldn't process all
Mhm.
of that. So if somebody is
Mm.
bringing in food, I'm like, okay, whatever, I,
Yeah.
I couldn't process all of that. Now I understand because now I'm thinking it from a different perspective. That was so sweet of you that, it's maybe years later you understand that okay, that was so sweet of you. I was going
Right.
through a rough time and you brought food so my family was fed. But in that moment, you you're already drowned in grief, you're drowned in pain so much that that gesture is like, okay, yeah, thanks, whatever. I
Well,
don't
and I think that's okay to have, right? Because that's all you're capable of at that time. And if people just had an understanding, right, of that, just that. Like when I talk about it, it's like people, you got to meet them where they're at, like they meet you where you're at. But we can be educated about how to do that better, right? And like you said, you're not gonna be able to emotionally look back and realize, "Thank you, that was really thoughtful of you," right? Because that's what they were capable of that at that time. But the more that we talk about this, the more we make it okay to feel uncomfortable, yet to do something, right, is okay, and then just to meet someone where they're at without judging, where they're at in their grief, is really important too, because no grief doesn't look the same with anybody.
Exactly.
And giving that permission is really powerful for ourselves and for other people, to do. And I want to talk a little bit about forgiveness.
Sure.
So, through your work, like, first, I want to say, I think it was really, thank you for sharing that you didn't know what to do. You were just kind of powering through doing your thing. And then when you were able to talk with a therapist, it made a difference. And so I think encouraging people maybe to talk a little sooner with someone may be helpful. But what did forgiveness look like for you? Not only, other people, like after a pregnancy loss, we can talk about what forgiveness looks like there, but I really would like to know, what did forgiveness look like for you, the lived experience of it? Because you do talk about that, and I think that's powerful.
Absolutely. So again, I recall this one uh, exercise that I did during therapy where I wrote down things, what I did before my water broke, and also before my twins were diagnosed with TTTS. It's something I couldn't really control. I wrote down certain things, like, yeah, like one of them was I cooked biryani. Then
Yeah.
I took a walk because I wanted to just move around. I was playing with the kids, some cards. So there were some things, simple things that I wrote down. And then the next column was like, why did I do it? So that exercise was a forgiving exercise. Like I did those things. I cooked biryani because I wanted compliments, because I know I cooked it well. So I was just longing for some compliments at that time. And that was that guilt and forgiveness exercise. Like I did certain things and the whys behind it. And that was for me, it was like forgiving myself. Like, okay, so this is why I did it. So now
You
I'm
did.
allowed to just get that guilt out of me and just forgive myself for the things that I don't. Now I don't have to go to what if and why did I do it? Why should I not have done those things? That was a beautiful exercise. And that exercise also entailed that whenever you have those triggers of what ifs,
Yeah.
my therapist told me to read those. I did this because, and I had to like read it uh, in 10 days, I had to read it 10 times every day.
Good.
He said that it will only start retraining your brain, like why you did certain things, and it will start forgiving yourself of the things that creep up to you. Like, why did I do it? Why did you have to do it? And that was a beautiful exercise of doing it. I remember like there was a time I was feeling awkward. Like, why do I need to read this? So I called up my friend and I'm like, I just want you to listen to what I'm saying. I don't, and I'm going to like read it like a news reporter. Like I did this because this, but it's like still getting in my head. So, but it was a very powerful exercise, and I love that exercise because it felt really silly. I would be honest to do it. Like, why are we doing this? But I realized the power of it after 10 days of doing it every day. For almost, she mentioned like at least do 3 to 4 times a day,
Okay.
or whenever the feelings creep up, just do it. Just read it.
It is powerful to, because I would imagine you started to feel different about it,
Mhm.
right? Energetically, we shift, because it's not only a chemical thing, about changing the thoughts or the way that we look at something, but it's also changes how we feel about it, right? Our heart. I would imagine that that was really helpful, because when you write down what you did and then why you did it, it makes it like it's okay to do something for me. Is that how you felt with the self-forgiveness piece? Like, it was okay, like, not only needing compliments, but after being bedridden for that long, it's like I just needed to do something to help myself feel better. Playing with the kids, I just needed some normalcy in my life, I would imagine. I
Even
would
walking down the stairs, I had written down there like I should have stayed in the bedroom until my babies like were delivered.
Right.
Why did I take the stairs down? Maybe that caused the water to break. And I was allowed to move. And it was like, you can be on, I was on semi bed rest at that time. So
Okay.
I was allowed to move around, no heavy lifting, of course, and doing any, major tasks. But
Right.
I was just doing regular stuff. Even cooking was not very heavy. I had my assistants doing the work for me.
Right.
I was just cooking. And so it was really easy. But then those were the things that came up. And there were so many things that kept adding on. And I'm like, I didn't even know that existed within me, because as I was recollecting and revisiting that one particular day, so many thoughts came to my mind. And I'm like,
Mm.
this is what is stored inside of me.
Right.
That's for that
Exactly.
one day. So, so imagine how much for all these 11 plus years I would have been like carrying through, that eventually just came out in different ways. And once I had that strategy in place, forgiving myself, once I trained my brain that this is what you do, then it was, I think, when the feeling comes in, then my brain automatically knows that strategy. Okay, this is why I did it. So, the maybe the devil side inside of you, now you can shut up. Like,
Well, yeah, because it's like a reframe, right? It's taking what happened, why you did it, instead of beating yourself up why you did it. It's like, if I wouldn't have done that then,
yeah,
and then it's kind of going, and I did do it,
yeah.
and this is why,
Hmm.
would lead to that change of heart, right? To where you can feel differently around it. I love that. And then I really love that you support women through that. Learning these little tools or little things can be so helpful. And I would kind of like to go through, if you would, do you have a few simple practices or people can start with, something that would help them as they get going, like if they're experiencing this now and they've had this real big kind of epitome, this kind of like this aha moment of, oh, I'm carrying these things. Is there something they can begin using?
Sure. So I have four things that I have included in my lifestyle. First is affirmations. Again, when I started off, it felt really silly. I would be honest. Like, it's okay not to be okay. Like, repeat this 5 times. It's not doing anything to me. It's not figuring anything. Why am I doing this?
Right.
That again, I've been doing affirmations daily now. If I miss a day, I feel uncomfortable now. So it over time, I have observed that how positive I have become in
Yeah.
just embracing life. If something, a negative situation comes in my life, I'm like, okay, this is the problem now, how to fix it. So affirmations are super powerful, and I think
Okay.
they're underestimated. And along with that goes gratitude, just being
Mm.
grateful to certain things. And grateful doesn't mean that, again, in this specific case of pregnancy loss and grief, you be grateful and then you just kind of, it's not moving on. Grateful is for that particular reason, what you're grateful for that day, maybe, and
Right.
moment. But
Yeah.
that definitely doesn't include like, okay, go be grateful to this, be thankful and forget it. That is not what gratitude is about. Again, meditation and mindfulness for me, I think mindfulness, just being present. Like, I think observing your own self when certain emotions are triggered, just pause and observe what is happening and give yourself some time to asking yourself, asking your body what is really happening, having that inner talk. Because what do we do when we feel like crying or something triggers you? Like, immediately, I know what I used to do: rush to the bathroom, cry, wipe off my tears, put on some makeup, go to the next meeting. And every time I felt that, it would be like, just wipe it off. Somebody's coming. They cannot see me cry. Or like, I remember sitting in my office cube and working on an Excel, and then tears are trickling down. And I'm like, what the hell is happening to me? Like, why am I crying? And then I'm looking at my manager walking by, and I'm like, okay, stop it, Shruti. So I think at that time, mindfulness would have helped, right? Okay, I need this time. I would have pinged my manager and said, I need 5 minutes. Just allow
Right.
myself to what is happening instead of escaping. So mindfulness is really powerful. And the fourth one is one of my favorites, like venting out to a buddy. So
Mm.
that, you could have 10 friends, but none of them so close that you can vent out to, or they would be full of judgment. But if you have that one buddy that you can speak to unfiltered, whatever comes in your head, who is not going to judge, who is not going to pass around that information as gossip. And that's that a word, a gross word maybe, is what I call mental vomit.
Yes, absolutely.
Get it out, whatever is in your head, and get it out of your system, because when it stays inside, it turns toxic. And that cleansing is needed, just like physical cleansing, right? We brush our teeth every day, no matter
Yeah.
what. No matter grief hits us, no matter whatever happens, we brush our teeth, because what if we don't brush our teeth? We're going to start stinking. Our mouth will stink. But we forget to do this cleansing of our minds every day. And we love to store all the negativity inside. And by default, it's just, no, let's swallow it. I remember this, like this simple thing that might resonate. Like whenever we feel like crying, by default, what do? We kind of swallow it as
Out
or
of
take a sip of water to push it down physically so that you cry.
Yeah.
I think we should not that your body is saying cry.
right.
Let it let ourselves cry. And what is a good gesture if somebody cries? Handing them a box of tissues to stop crying. It's a polite,
Right.
it's kind
Right.
of a good gesture, right? If you don't offer,
Yeah.
it's just, but what does that gesture really say? Like, stop crying now.
I agree with you as far as the Kleenex box. If somebody's crying, it's like we're interrupting the flow for them because we're getting out toxins when we cry. We're getting out pent up, all those feelings. And they were saying it's a release of chemicals when we
Mhm.
cry that we need to. So I agree with you that
You
we
know, gesture that really surprises me. Like, if you don't offer that, it's not nice. You always trained, right? Since I think childhood, we have been trained that if somebody cries, you offer them. It's a very good gesture, but
Yeah.
I feel it's not. The it
No.
can just cry if they want to cry,
Yeah.
and maybe have that tissue box somewhere around. If they feel like taking a tissue,
Right.
they can have
Yeah.
it, but not force them to just take a tissue and wipe off your tears and stop crying. Is the
Yeah.
words behind it, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my goodness. I am so grateful we are come to our time. I could talk to you more about this because I think it's a really important subject. And I love that you are offering your services for people who are going through that pregnancy loss. And what I'd like to do now is how can people find you, reach out to you? And I know that you've got an offering for people. So I'd like to have you share how they can get a hold of you, get more information, and what you wanna offer.
Absolutely. So, I'm on most of the social media platforms: TikTok, Insta, LinkedIn. I do have a uh, booking call website, Calendly, that people can set up a call with me, a 60-minute breakthrough call, which is complimentary. I'll share all the links with you. Uh,
Yes.
and one upcoming event, actually, that's in 2 days. I'm holding a workshop, but I'll have more workshops along the way that I'll definitely share with you, so people can follow and you know just attend the workshops, creating a beautiful space for bereaved mothers and their supporters.
Oh,
I
nice.
also have a Facebook community. Again, for mothers, for women and the supporters. So
Can anybody join that Facebook group?
yes, so they just have to answer a few questions and I'll approve them. So
What's
it's
the name of the Facebook group?
called the Pregnancy Loss Healing Lab.
Oh, I like that. Okay, and we will link all of those. We'll have all the links in the show notes for sure, but just in case somebody wanted to go look that up right after they hear this. And what is your social media handles? How can they find you on Instagram?
So it's my business name, Tulsi Heals Life Coaching, and I can definitely share that with you.
I will put all of that in there. Thank you. No, that's really helpful. I like to say it out loud. So in case people want to go look at it and not go to the show notes. So that's why I like to speak it. And then do you have a website?
I have a link tree. I have a
Okay.
public profiles
Great.
on GitHub, but yeah, with the
Oh,
tree, everything is listed on my social media platform. So that itself is like a
okay.
one-stop shop where my workshops would also be listed.
Oh, great.
So yeah,
Okay.
people can just access that and reach out to me, and then I can talk with
Great.
them and take it forward.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. Shruti, it's been really heart opening, and I am so grateful that you're willing to share your story with so many, because that's what normalizes our conversations, the things that happen to us and the grief that's surrounding what all of these losses. It's really important. And I love that you support not only, the people and the women that are experiencing the loss, but those that are supporting them too, because it is a loss for all of us. And I'm grateful to you. And this has been such a meaningful conversation. And what I keep coming back to, Shruti, is this idea that grief doesn't need to be rushed or fixed or explained away, that it's okay to still be in it, and that it's okay to have questions. And then it's possible to begin relating to yourself with more kindness, even in the middle of it. And so thank you for that.
Absolutely. I think grief doesn't disappear. The pain will never go away.
Yeah.
It's not like popping in a Tylenol and your headache goes away. It's
Yeah.
different with how the mental health space works. It will
Yeah.
always stay, but with therapy or with any other peak, some people adapt spirituality or like journaling or different strategies that gives you a better way of handling your emotions when they trigger, because they are
Mhm.
going to trigger all the time. But it's
Right.
just how you handle with them, instead of, like I said, escaping, you handle with them. So like right after this podcast, I might have a moment, and I'm not going to just dismiss it and run away from it. I'm
Mm.
going to allow myself to feel what I'm feeling. And then the next thing is to maybe honor them in some way. So I'll go look at their pictures, write in a journal. For me, the biggest way I could honor my babies is my business itself. So
Yeah.
tulsi is a holy Indian basil plant that we Indians pray to in Hindu culture. And so when I was thinking about honoring, uh, I just brought like two tulsi plants and planted them in two identical pots that
Well,
represented my boys. So in summer they would bloom, and fall they would go back. But it just developed into a meaningful connection.
mm,
And when it came to naming my business, that's why it's Tulsi has healed me, and they're going to stay with me forever. And those three leaves actually represent my babies. So the two identical
Oh,
ones and the one in middle. And it is such meaningful for me that, again, like instead of moving on, I'm moving forward with them. They're always going to stay with me. And I am here today talking to you as a coach. There is a reason they are involved in that decision of my life. Why I was a former IT professional, now a coach. There, there is a reason why I'm doing this. So
yeah.
it's just beautiful and gives a lot more meaning to the work that I'm doing.
Ah, thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate you sharing that. And if you're listening today and something in this conversation touched you, know that you're not alone. And maybe, just maybe, there's a small way you can be a little gentler with yourself today. And Shruti gave us some ideas how to start. And to you, my friend who's listening, thank you for spending this time with us today. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who might need to hear it. And if you're called to go deeper in your own journey, I'm always here also. We will have Shruti's, all of her links in the show notes. And I really, really really just recommend checking out her information. And until next time, I want you to remember that you matter, and that I want you to take care of you. So until we see each other again, or hear each other again, take care. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did enjoy it, would you do me a favor and share this episode and then follow us on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss one episode of the Forgive Yourself podcast, where every Friday you will get tips, tools, and stories so that you can turn your pain into peace. Take care.